Hi, I'm Samantha McDouglas from thebridgeteachers.com, and this tutorial is about the options we have when we create or host a table. We're going to first look at the table creation screen. So we're going to go to Bridgebase Online, and in our home table, we're going to select Casual, and we're going to start a table. Okay. Our first option here is what kind of score do we want to have? Do we want to do IMPs, which is International Match Points, or total points? Just real quick, IMPs is a team game thing. Match points is what's generally played at a duplicate bridge club, and total points is pretty close to rubber bridge, but not quite. If you do the top two, you'll see how your score reflected against all the other people who played the same hand, which I think is really cool, so that would be my choice. This isn't really that important, but if you have a strong preference, that's where you change it. You can also describe the table. If you're hoping that other people will come by and maybe sit at the table, people you don't know, you might want to tell them a little bit about what you're looking for. Slow-paced, relaxed game. You don't have to put anything in here. You can leave it blank. But again, if you're going to be looking to have other people come, you might want to give them a sense for what you're looking for. So our privacy options here. A kibitzer is someone who is watching but not playing. So we can allow kibitzers, which means we can allow anyone to come by. We might do this if there are going to be 5 of us and somebody's going to be sitting out. We might also do it if our friends are online all the time and they want to drop by. Or we might, if people just want to come by and see, we might allow them to do that. If we select that, we then have the option to tell them whether or not they can communicate with the players at the table. So if you have kibitzers, you probably should let them communicate, but you do have the option of refusing that here. We can also, rather than turning kibitzers off or just allowing kibitzers, there is a middle ground of requiring permission. So if we select this on and someone comes by and wants to kibitz, a little window will pop up for the host, and the host can accept or reject that. So this is sort of like the middle ground. If you want some people to come by, but you don't want just anyone to come by, if you put permission on, you'll have the option of yes, this person, and no, that person. Okay. The same thing with permission to play. They can request permission. If you leave this off, anyone can sit down. If you turn it on, then a window will pop up and you can say yes, they can sit down, or no, they cannot sit down. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. If you are just playing with your friends and you don't want people wandering by, make the table invisible. If you want people to wander by, don't make the table invisible. So what this means is if the table's invisible, it's not going to be included in the club list. So people looking for a table won't see it as an option. If you don't click this on, then it will be in the table list and people looking for a table may come wandering by. You can also exclude new members. I probably wouldn't do this, especially not given the situation where a lot of people are brand new. I wouldn't do that. Minimum completion rate. What does that mean? So if I sit down to a bridge table on BBO and I leave in the middle of a hand, this means I didn't complete the hand. If I complete the hand, if I finish the hand and then I leave, it means I completed the hand. So a completion rate of 100%, for instance, means that every time I sat down and played a hand, I completed it. And I only left not in the middle of a hand, but at the end of a hand. So if we look at my profile real quick here, you'll see that my board completion rate is 100, which means that when I sit down at the table, I always finish a hand before I go. My tournament completion rate is also 100, which means that when I enter a tournament, I complete the tournament. So what you can do here is if you don't want to have people come by who just leave in the middle of the hand, you can up this to whatever number you want it up to. And you can type in here, 90% or 100% or whatever it is that you want to type in, or you can just leave it blank. So it starts at 0, which means that basically there is no requirement here. I wouldn't really worry about this too much unless you're advertising for other people and you don't want to be in a situation where people are going to leave in the middle of a hand often. You see these little padlocks here mean that people have to request permission to play. And I am going to show you that in a second. Now I can make reservations for my party goers here, or I can do it at the table. Okay. If I'm going to start a relaxed game or a competitive game, if you are only playing with friends that you have asked to come and you're making your table invisible, you don't need to worry about this. If your table is not going to be invisible, then this is essentially which section, which club is your table going to be listed in? Is it going to be listed in the relaxed club, the casual club, or is it going to be in the competitive club? So that's just a question of what you're looking for. I always hit relaxed because my tables are usually private. I don't want people wandering by, so it doesn't really matter which one I hit. Once I create the table, okay, I'm going to show you what happens if, let's say I put Kayla north and then I sat down east, and he's my partner and I want him to move. So he's going to get up and then he's going to move. Now this is the box that pops up. So if you have permission to kibitz or permission to play, this box will pop up when someone asks. You can accept, you can reject, and you can close and reject all. This means all the requests. So we're going to accept, which means he's going to be allowed to sit north. So that's what happens when someone asks for permission. You can accept it, you can reject it, and that's going to be the host that's in charge of that. Now, if you don't want to deal with that hassle, turn the permissions off, and then people can move wherever they want. They can come and go when they want. If you want to control who's at the table, you're going to need to turn that on. Now, let's say that we initially turned kibitzers off, and now one of our friends wants to come watch and we want to change it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to these three bars, and we're going to collect on it, and we're going to select table options. Now you've got pretty much the same screen that we had before, and we can change the settings. So let's say we're tired of dealing with the permission. We can turn the permission off, and we can change all the settings, and we can apply and close, right? And so that's going to change things to our satisfaction. So now if we had someone who wanted to come and sit at the table, they can now come and sit at the table, right? So those are the ways that you can deal with that while you're hosting. And this is going to be the host that can do this. And the permission is going to pop up for the host. The host is simply the person who created the table. And so all your options are going to be here. We can set them when we set the hand. We can also change them in the middle. The one thing you can't change here is the scoring. However you created the table is what it's going to be here now. And that's fine. You can always create a new table if it's a big problem for you. But you can always go ahead and change whatever you're not happy with here, and it will change. I hope that was helpful. Have fun.